Hi guys. So let's do some front of the torso rolling. I'm going to start with the black ball today, and I want you to bring the black ball to the front of your pelvis. So the ball is going to go centered on your pubic bone. Just trying to, there we go, just set a little bit. Okay, so come down onto your fronts. The ball is going to go to the center of your pelvis. I'm just going to start off here today, breathing over the ball. Inhale and exhale. And take a few more breaths here. Try to really direct your air all the way down to where the ball meets your body. So you're filling over the ball. We're breathing into those lowest abdominals and into the pelvis. Take 2 more breaths there. Inhale as you fill. And exhale to melt. 1 more breath. And then move the ball to the right an inch. So you're just on the right side of that triangle. Breathing here. And exhale. 2 more breaths like that. One more breath. Move the ball back to the middle, and you'll feel some heat or a little rush of circulation or something going down that area where you just took pressure off of, and then bring the ball to the left an inch. So you're staying on that triangle, now you're just to the left of center. Breathe here. 2 more breaths like that. One more breath. Bring the ball back to the center, and then roll the ball straight up an inch. So the ball is going to come just off the top of that bony triangle. Oh, I'm being attacked by a tiny poodle. And then breathe here. So the ball has come just off the top of your pelvis. And you should feel like it's sunk a little bit deeper into the abdominal line, because now you're coming into soft musculature rather than being on bone. Take 2 more breaths there. Trying to envelop that ball on the exhale. And then peel the ball to the right again. So just directly right. So now you are above the pelvis. You're above that bony triangle, just about an inch or 2 above where you moved when you were still on the pelvis. Breathing here, move your air over the ball, and then try to envelop that ball. 1 more breath like that. Keep the ball moving to the right. So now as you pull that ball to the right, I want you to come onto the right hip point. So my hip point is angling down into the center of the ball. I've bent my left leg out to the side, and I'm bringing my left palm down. You can also stay down on both forearms, whatever feels better. Pressing here. So really want you to angle that hip point down into the ball. And then keep turning onto your right side. The ball comes directly to the side of your body as you stack your hips one on top of each other, and stay here. So you've moved from that hip point at the front of the body to the side of the body. So I'm actually a little bit higher than the joint on the side of my body. And take another breath here. Breathing there. And now keep making a circle from the center around to the spine. So I'm still a little bit higher than that joint. So now I'm peeling the ball in towards center an inch or so. And you should feel like you're moving that glute maximus out of the way. You've come into a little bit of a kind of muscular groove there. Press gently here. Keep peeling the ball in towards center. Now you're going to go up and over that thicker muscle. And then stay here, pressing here. So I'm working my way in towards the spine, but I still have about 2 inches or so at least. Keep that ball moving into center. So now I'm about an inch away from center, from the right side of my spine with that inner edge of the ball. Pressing there. I'm keeping a little bit of space underneath my glute as well, so more weight comes down into the ball. And then pull the ball up against the right side of your sacrum. Gently press there. Slide your sit bones down to the mat. Let that ball lift up on the sacrum as you sit down onto the mat. Lengthen both legs out in front of you, and that should be a pretty obvious difference there between the two sides, the leg length there. So let's come back to the center of the pelvis. We'll do everything on the other side. That black ball is going to come back to the middle to start, and then we're going to roll it up a little bit so it comes off of the bone into those softer abdominals, working your way laterally out to the left till you come to the little hip point, coming onto the side of the body, so I'm not in the joint space, I'm a little bit higher, and then working your way slowly in towards the left side of your spine. So coming onto your front, ball is on the bone to start, on the pelvis. Take a couple breaths here, refinding that bony landmark. Move the ball up a little bit, inch or so you're in those softer abdominals. I think somebody gave up here. You know you're not getting attention right now, Alexandra. Take a couple more breaths here. As you exhale, let that ball sink and feel like the edge is lifting in and up. So I'm actively squeezing my glutes to try to angle the bottom of my pubic bone and angle my tailbone down to the mat. Bring the ball to the left a little bit, an inch or so. So now you're over that bony triangle to the left of center. Take a few breaths there, still trying to wrap the pelvis. Angle that tailbone down towards the mat and envelop the ball. Breathing over the ball. And now pull the ball to the left even more. It's going to go like 3 or 4 inches now until you come to that left hip point. Angle the left hip point down into the ball. I am lifting my right hip up towards the ceiling. Start not completely up to the ceiling, but rotating up towards the ceiling to really bring weight down into that hip point. Breathe there. And then turn onto your left side. The ball just keeps on peeling along that lateral path so you're just above the joint space. Breathe there. And now start to turn to start to face the ceiling. That ball will slide into a little groove there in between those muscles. Try to push the glute maximus out of the way here. This will be an intense spot, gently bearing back into the ball. And then I'm bending both knees here. I'm going to pull the ball in towards center another inch or so, and you're going to go over thicker muscle here. You're going to go over those deep rotators. Press gently there. Move the ball in towards center another inch. I'm not quite up against the left side of my sacrum. The next move will bring me there. And now bring the ball into the left side of your sacrum. Gently press there, and then lift the ball up as you slide your hips down to the mat. And sitting down onto the mat, lengthen your legs out in front of you. Good, so now let's take the silver ball, silver or gold, and I want you to bring that larger ball underneath your right sit bone. If you have both the balls, both silver and gold, I would go with the silver here. And just let your weight settle down into that ball. You can take your body forward and back. Circle around that right sit bone. Just kind of loosening up the area. Just going to jiggle this mouse here so that my picture comes back. I can make sure I'm in the frame. And then, once you've kind of worked around that area there, come back to the right sit bone and just let your weight sink down into that ball. I want you to pull the ball back an inch and to the right an inch. And just stay there. As you exhale, try to bear your weight back into the ball. So the edge here is large. It doesn't really go into the rotator line very detailed, but it kind of gets the whole surface area of this line. So I want you to just connect and press back to the ball to start a release there. Bring the ball up another inch and to the right another inch. And press there. Inhale and exhale. And then bring the ball up another inch and to the right another inch. Pressing back there. And then come back up again to the right sit bone and lengthen your right leg straight out in front of you. Sitting up nice and tall here. Inhale, stacking your spine. Exhale, reach your heel away from you. And do that again. Inhale and exhale. We're just going to pull the ball down your leg about 4 inches so that it comes off the front of the glute crease. And then breathe here, stack your spine. This is as far down the leg as you're going to go. So if you can keep the foot planted and the knee facing up, it's probably easier than turning it down and then having to reset it again. But whatever feels better on your hips. One more breath here. And now slide the ball back the way you came. So I want you to bring that ball back to your sit bone and try to pull the glute muscle out of the way and slide all the way down to the mat so that your sit bone's on the mat, the ball is lifting the glute up and out of the way so that the sit bone is making nice contact here with the mat and that ball is kind of levering that muscle out of the way. So now from here, roll the ball to the right a tiny bit as you turn slightly to your right side. So the ball is kind of at the top of my glute here, and I'm just pressing back, connecting here to the ball. Inhale and exhale. Keep thinking of that edge of the ball that's making contact with your body, grabbing that glute muscle and lifting it up and away. So we're trying to get the bottom of the pelvis to kind of just sit down on the floor here. You can even bring yourself up a little bit, really connect to the ball and then slide back down here so that ball is taking that muscle and lifting it up and you really feel like you're getting that ischium to make contact with the mat. Take another breath here. And then move the ball a little more to the side. So you're coming a little more onto the side. I'm not completely on my sideline there, but I'm getting closer. And then do the same thing. Come up and off of the mat a little bit. Roll the ball down. Try to really let that edge grab that kind of most lateral portion of the glute here and slide it up and out of the way so the bone is making more contact with the floor. And it's almost like it's a little scaffold lifting that muscle up and out of the way. Breathing here. And just breathe, stay right here. So I want the next move to kind of mirror that path we did out with the black ball, but it's covering a little more surface area, and we're going in now in the opposite direction. So from here, you're going to come onto your side, and the ball is going to keep coming towards front. It's a little bit higher than the joint crease. So we're up a little higher, just like we were with the black ball. And then you're going to come to the hip point, front of the pelvis here, and then you're going to slide the ball in and down until that it comes to the pubic bone. So, where were we here? We were on our sides here, and now I want you to just turn completely onto your side. So, this may feel a little bit weird here because normally we're a little more forward so the ball is in the joint space. Now we're really up towards the top of the pelvis here. So I want you to feel like the side of that crest is pressing into the ball. Just do whatever you need to do with the legs to keep them comfortable here. Press that bone into the ball. And then take your top leg and bring it to the mat in front of you. This will kind of help with balance. And now start to face the mat as you bring that right hip point really to the center here of that ball. Press there. Try to really get the hip point to really imprint down into that ball. And then from here, bring the ball completely, you're going to completely turn to face the mat, and the ball is going to roll onto the abdominals. So we're coming from that hip point onto those obliques. And breathe here. Lengthen that leg back behind you. And then your body's going to move forward. The ball is going to move in and down till it comes to the right side of the pubic bone. Breathe here. And then pull the ball completely to the center of the pubic bone without taking weight off of the ball. So it's almost like you're smearing on in there. Breathe over the ball here. Keep weight into the ball, and you're going to slide the ball straight up now so that the upper edge of the ball comes just below navel height or just at navel height. The body of the ball that's really making contact with your body, that curve, is in between your pelvis and the belly button. Breathe here. Inhale and exhale. 2 more breaths here. Inhale and exhale. 1 more breath. And then come off of the ball. And come onto your backs. Just want you to feel what that did there. So we went from the sit bone onto the top of the hamstring, and then we rolled on up the sacrum to kind of pull that glute musculature up and out of the way and really expose the ischium. Peel to the right, and then we went around the front and do the same thing to the left. But just take a couple more breaths there. Let that settle in. Notice the difference between the 2 sides, even coming all the way up into the shoulder blade. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So come up onto the ball again. Ball's underneath your left sit bone now. Let your weight come down into the ball. Take your body forward and back, circling around, just warming up the pelvis, the left side of the pelvis. And then once you feel like you've kind of moved that glute around, come to that left sit bone, lengthen your left leg straight out in front of you, and stack your spine here, sitting up nice and tall on the ball. Inhale and exhale. Pull the ball down your leg about 4 inches or so, enough so that it comes off the front of the glute crease. Take that glute, lift it up and out of the way, and breathe here. Inhale and exhale. And then bring the ball back up to that left sit bone. From here, keep the connection to the ball and lift that glute as you slide your left sit bone down to the mat. And then you can kind of like readjust here. Really try to feel that sit bone making contact with the mat. It will feel nice here. If you need to kind of come up again a little bit and slide that glute up and out of the way, see if you can reconnect and really just find that position. Breathing here. And then take the ball a little bit to the left as you turn slightly onto your left. If you feel like you lost the connection and the glute kind of plunked down again, just lift on up again and try to lift it out of the way. I'm trying to get the ischium here, all little edges of that tuberosity to make contact with the mat. And then come a little more onto your side. Lift that lateral glute up and out of the way there. So you're pulling up here, trying to get that pelvis to really make contact with the mat. One more breath here. And then turn completely onto your side. And again, the ball is a little bit higher than the joint space. My joint crease is here. I'm lifted up above it. So I feel like the arch of my hip there, that crest of my hip, is pushing down into the ball. So I have a little bit of space under here. It's kind of a funny position here. Just try to keep your pelvis as comfortable as possible. Press there. And then bring your top leg down to the mat for support. Start to turn to face the mat and angle your left hip point down into the ball. Breathe there. My hip point is kind of at the center of the ball, maybe a little under center. So like 2/3 of the ball is kind of in my oblique here. However you guys are comfortable there. As long as you're angling, trying to imprint that bone into the ball. Roll the ball in towards center an inch or two. So now you're on those left obliques, but you're underneath the ribs. If you're touching the ribs, you've gone too high. Breathe there. And then pull the ball in and down so that it comes towards the left side of the pubic bone. I'm a little bit, the bottom half of my ball is on the left pubic ramus. The top half of the ball is just above my pelvis. Take one more breath there, and then roll the ball down and into center. So now you're centered on that bony triangle. Feel what that did as far as circulation kind of running back through, or energy, or interesting stuff happening there in those hip flexors. And then pull the ball straight up again. So you're coming back in between the belly button and the pelvis with that ball. I'm just going to keep rotating because I keep hitting my furniture here. So the ball is centered and I'm in between my navel and the pelvis here. And just take 2 more breaths here. If you'd like to lay all the way down to the mat, you can, or stay lifted. One more big breath. Inhale and exhale. And then roll on off of the ball again. Come onto your backs. Let that settle in on both sides. Feel each side of the pelvis just kind of nice and open to the mat. Feel those shoulder blades heavy to the mat. And breathe there. Take 2 more breaths here, and then we're going to turn back onto our fronts with the ball in the center of your chest. 1 more breath. And then just carefully bring yourself up to a seated position. The ball's going to come to the center of your chest. We're going to breathe here, and then we're going to roll the ball to one side, twist away from it, reset the ball back to center, peeling along the collarbone to the other side, twisting away from it. So bring yourselves back onto your front. The ball's going to be to the center of your chest. And let's hold on to the ball. So the ball should be above the breast tissue, below the throat, centered on the sternum. And breathe here over the ball. So as you inhale, bring your air to those front upper ribs. Breath lifts you. And then as you exhale, just let the breath empty. Don't jam yourself down into that ball. Take a few more breaths here. Inhale. And exhale. 2 more breaths like that. One. And then reach your right arm straight out to the side of your body. Bend your left knee slightly to the side and use the left heel of your hand to push the ball to the right about an inch so that you're spreading that cartilage where those ribs insert into the side of the sternum. Breathe over the ball here. And exhale. 2 more breaths here. Inhale. And exhale. 1. Plant your left palm down and the ball rolls a few more inches to the right. Drag your whole body here so that you're not lifting weight off of the ball to move it. I want you to feel that spreading of the rib cage, that widening of the collarbone. And now my ball is about 2/3 of the way along the right ribs, the right front ribs, and underneath that right collarbone about 2/3 of the way. Breathe here and twist away from the ball. You can come out of that twist a little bit on the inhale and then refine that twist on the exhale. See if you can twist a little more. Or just hold that position here, kind of at your edge there, and breathe into that stretch. Move the ball another few inches to the right, so you're passing over the pec muscle to the very front of that right shoulder joint. And then twisting here. Breathing over the ball. Keep trying to walk the right fingertips away from you. Getting some nice width through the front of your chest. One more breath like this. Inhale and exhale. Sorry, it's my phone. One more breath there. And then come on off of that. Reset the ball back to center. You're going to be holding on to that ball. Ball is in the center of your chest, and breathe over the ball. Just turn my phone off. Inhale and exhale. Take another 2 breaths here, feeling the air go into those front ribs, feeling the ribs expanding. The breath lifts you and then exhale as you connect. One more breath like that. And then reach your left arm out to the side of your body. Bend your right knee out to the side. Use the heel of your right hand to push that ball to the left. So you're keeping the weight down into the ball, and then it's like a spreading here. Look over your right shoulder and breathe to where you feel that stretch. Each side will feel different, so try to direct your breath to the ball. One more breath there. And then plant your right palm down. And now keep the pressure into the ball. Even if you have to inch super slowly, I want you to just move your whole body to the right so the ball peels to the left without taking weight out of that ball. So you're widening here. And once you're about a third of the way along the rib cage, twist to the right, walking your left fingertips away from you, trying to keep that left shoulder open. Breathe here. You can come out of the twist a little bit and then find that twist again on the exhale. Inhale as you spin to face the floor. Exhale as you twist or just stay here in the stretch. Pull the ball underneath your left shoulder joint. And breathe here. Try to keep on widening that collarbone. 2 more breaths like that. And then come on out of that. So let's come onto our backs again. Let that settle in there. Just lay down on your back. And now feel kind of that added layer there of scapula opening and collarbone widening. The work we did through the pelvis should have translated up into the shoulders a little bit, but this should just take it kind of another layer open. Good, so now we're going to roll up the spine, and once we get to about shoulder blade height, we'll start to peel out, first to the right side, then to the left side. So sitting up on top of your ball, the ball is going to go in between your sit bones, and give yourself space to move forward on your mat. So I just want you to sit up on top of the ball, bring your weight down into the ball, and then take your body forward and back. Coming forward and back there. Equalizing each side of the pelvis. I have to jiggle my mouse again. So now from here, you're going to slowly take 3 full breaths to bring your sit bones down to the mat. And just like we did when the ball was under one side, we kind of lifted the glute up and out of the way to let those sit bones make contact with the mat. Think of the same thing here. You're keeping that connection to the ball so that it lifts the sacrum up. You can even reset here if you feel like you lost it, and then bring those sit bones down to the mat. Once you're seated on the mat, bring your legs sit bone distance apart. Reach back for your thighs and really find that connection to that ball. Inhale as you let the breath lift you. Exhale, front to back and back to ball. 2 more breaths like that. 1 more breath. Inhale and exhale. Keep the connection to the ball and move your sit bones closer to your heels. So now the ball is the center of my sacrum. The top of my sacrum is on the center of the ball. So I'm splitting. The bottom half of the ball is still on my pelvis. The top half is in the lumbar musculature. And then breathe here. So move that joint here where the sacrum and the lumbar come together. You're lifting gently with the breath. And then exhale, connecting back to the ball. Inhale, let the breath lift you. Exhale, front to back and back to ball. One more breath like that. And then reach back to support your head with your hands. Lift your hips up and move the ball into your lumbar musculature. So now I'm in between my pelvis and the bottom ribs. Depending on your torso length, my first couple of ribs are making contact with the ball here. Bottom edge of the ball is just above my pelvis. So this is a tough position to support here. Inhale, curling up a little bit. Feel those abdominals shake. And then as you exhale, don't extend just yet. You can lengthen through the spine, but I don't want you to arch. You can try to keep that C curve here or just lengthen to neutral. You will feel the abs working here. And now on this next one, lift your hips again and now roll the ball onto your back ribs so that the upper edge of the ball is just underneath shoulder blade height. From here, the hips come down again. From here, you're going to inhale as you lift your chest. Exhale, connect to the ball. Let your chest open. Let your elbows widen. Getting some nice movement here. Now at that joint where the bottom of your shoulder blade and the rib cage comes together. And open. 2 more breaths like that. Inhale. And exhale. 1 more breath. And exhale. And now lift your head and shoulders again. I'm actually going to go to the left so that I turn to face you. Keep your weight into the ball and now peel that ball along your rib cage as you rotate onto one side. So I'm going onto my left side here. My pelvis is going as well, and I'm turning enough so that the ball comes to my side ribs. Press here. And then slide the ball back into the center of your spine. We're going to stay on the same side. So I'm going to go left again. Press and widen those ribs. Rolling over the shoulder blade now. As I came back in, the ball moved up a little bit. Come to the side of your body. So the ball is just under my armpit joint on those side ribs. Keep weight into that ball. And peel it back into the center of your spine. Now the ball should be peeling over that shoulder blade. We're going to do 2 more passes here, staying to the same side. So I'm peeling left. Now as I turn onto my side, the ball is coming into the bottom of my armpit joint. Lengthen your arm out long, the bottom arm long along the mat. Press there. And then peel the ball back in to the center of your spine again. And 1 more time. Now I'm peeling out along the upper half of my left shoulder blade. And the ball is coming directly into the side of my left armpit joint. Walk those bottom fingertips away. Press there. And then peel back the way you came. So mirroring that peeling out underneath the collarbone on the front ribs. Now we're peeling out along those back ribs, along the spine of the scapula. Come back into the center of your spine and move the ball straight up. So it passes over the cervical spine and it grabs the base of your skull and nods your chin down towards your chest. So the ball should be high enough so that you feel like you can open your shoulders to the mat. And then turn your head to whatever direction you were working on. I'm turning my head to the left here. And breathe there so that you finish that line all the way up the left side. Take 2 more breaths in this spot. One more breath. Those are poodle snores you're hearing in the background. Good. And then just take that ball out. Bring your head down to the floor. You're going to do the same thing on the other side, starting with the ball centered on your spine, just under shoulder blade height again. So supporting your head with your hands. The upper edge of the ball is just underneath the shoulder blade. And then peeling, I'm going to my right side now, peeling out along those right ribs as you turn onto your side. Connect to the side ribs. Notice the difference between the two sides, and then slowly peel back into the center of your spine. The last inch or two coming in will be a little crunchy, so take your time coming over that line. And then peel out again. We're staying on the same side. Coming to the side of your body. Just underneath the base of my armpit with the ball here. And then peel back in along those bottom inch or so of that shoulder blade. Peel out again, and now the ball's coming into the armpit joint. Lengthen that bottom arm out long. We've got one more position, one more peel after this on this line. So if the ball went too high, just work it down an inch like I just had to do. Peel back in, taking your time along the last little crunchy inch. And one last time, peeling out. Lengthen your bottom arm long. Now the ball goes securely into that armpit joint. Press there. One more breath here. And then slide the ball back into the center of your spine. And move the ball straight up so that it passes over that cervical spine. You can reach for it with your hands. Pull it up high enough so that your shoulders are freed up from the neck. And turn your head slightly to whatever side you just worked. Chin is tucked down towards your chest, so I've turned to the right side here. And breathe to where you feel that ball. Inhale and exhale. And then take the ball out, bring your head down to the mat, and let that settle in on both sides. So now we're going to bridge our hips up and bring that ball underneath your pelvis. So the ball's supporting my sacrum here. And bring it up or down. I want you to feel really supported on the ball. So you want to have it behind your pelvis, but wherever you feel like you can just kind of relax into it. Breathe here. And then bring your right ankle over your left thigh. So you're coming into like a little bit of a figure four stretch. Roll the ball a few inches to the right. So I'm rotating my pelvis as I do this. And just let this right thigh, this right leg relax. And the ball is in that joint space to the right side. So now from here, adjust the ball there so you feel like it's really in the joint space. Go side to side a little bit. You can bring the ball up and down a little bit. Try to really get that edge to fall into that kind of groove that the femur bone is making here with the pelvis. Breathe here and just let that leg soften. One more breath like that. And then take this leg, take the ankle off of the thigh, lengthen your leg along the mat here. So I'm not completely actively stretching it. I just kind of reached it away from me and my knee is staying soft. And then micro move here a little bit too. It's going to change the position of the joint, so try to get the edge back into that joint space. Take another 2 breaths here. And my shoulders are staying squared off to the mat. And then bend your right knee, plant the foot down, and move the ball back to center. And reset here. Get yourself nice and stable. Bring the left ankle over the right thigh. The ball's going to roll to the left. The pelvis is going to rotate to the left. And just kind of adjust your body here so that you stay balanced. And then same thing, micro move around here until you feel like that edge is in the joint space. And then breathe there. Try to let that thigh bone open. Take a couple more breaths there. You can micro move around. Should feel good here. And then take that leg and just gently reach it away from you along the mat. Roll the ball a little more to the left. Micro move here. Get the edge into that joint space again. My pelvis is still staying off kilter here. My shoulders are open to the mat. Take another breath or so here. Keep trying to slide that edge into that groove. Channel. Kind of dip is there. And then bend both knees and pull the ball back to center again. Just get yourself resituated there on the ball. And now bring your legs in towards your chest. You can hold on to the ball here. And breathe here. So now we're taking the pelvis into a posterior tilt. And think of these back ribs coming to the floor. So the ribs are coming front to back and back ribs to the mat. Take a few more breaths here. Try to feel both sides of the back ribs even to the floor. There'll be one side that makes kind of easier contact. Try to get both sides to settle down towards the mat. And then carefully bring your right foot down to the floor. Let's do a little hip flexor stretch before we come out of it. I was going to bring you out of it, but then I changed my mind. Pull your left thigh into your chest. Reach your right heel away from you along the mat. I'm using my right arm here to stabilize. So I'm feeling a stretch in my hip without even completely straightening my right leg. As much as you can, try to keep reaching the heel away from you. I don't want the foot to come off the floor. If it starts to lift, just come out of that a little bit. Keep the foot on the floor so you can keep carving that groove along your mat. And you should feel a nice opening here in the front of your hip. Keep pulling the left thigh in and take a few breaths here. And then do the same thing on the other side, just carefully switching sides, however that's doable. Slide your left heel along the mat, pulling the right thigh in. Try to keep the foot connected. Keep finding even more reach of that heel away from you as you exhale. You don't need to hold the thigh if you don't want to, whatever feels like it's helping to get into the hip flexor and psoas. One more breath here. And now bring both feet down to the floor. Bridge your hips up to take the ball out and roll on down. And just feel what that did there. Lengthen your legs away from you. So just stay here, take a few breaths there. And I have completely lost the picture here. Hold on, you guys. There we go, we're back. Okay, just want to make sure I'm actually in the frame. So now what I want you to do is I want you to sit up on the ball again. The ball is going to be centered in between your sit bones and bring your legs to a butterfly stretch. So you're sitting up on top of the ball, soles of the feet are together, and just take your body slightly forward and slightly back again. So now those sit bones are a little more angled in towards each other because of the way the femur bone is sitting. They're a little more widened when we're in parallel. We roll forward and back. I want you to try to keep as much space in between them as possible as you roll forward and back here. And then bring your feet flat again, and now walk them open a little bit. So my legs are turned out, and I'm in a sumo squat here, I guess, on the ball. Take your body forward and back again. Feel that kind of different layer that adds to equalizing each side of the pelvis. And then bring the ball back to center and take a gentle straddle here. Lengthen your legs away from you. We're not going super wide here. I just want you to be able to sit comfortably on the ball. Breathing here, lengthen up through your spine. And then take the ball slightly forward. So I want you to push your sit bones back a little bit. So now the ball is towards the front of the pelvis. Keep thinking of those thigh bones reaching away so the sit bones don't narrow in and grip those femur bones in. We've been trying to free up that femur bone in that hip joint for a lot of the class today. So keep trying to find that space there. Lengthen through your spine and try to take your chest forward here. This is a really tough position here. We lose this mobility very quickly as we get older. By older, I mean like over 20s. So we're going to breathe here. Try to widen those sit bones back behind you. And you may feel a pretty deep stretch in the adductor and that medial hamstring line. Pull your sit bones back a little bit more and see if you can take your chest a little more forward, widening those sit bones back behind you. Take one more breath here, and then bring the ball a little more back to the center. Come on up there and feel that freedom that you've created, the extra freedom we've created here. Let's take a few more breaths here. Keep thinking of the heels reaching away from you, those thigh bones reaching away from you. Let's try that one more time. Bring your sit bones back just a little bit. I don't want you falling off of the ball. I just want the pelvis to be freed up enough that we can tip and try to spread and widen the sit bones back behind you. And even if it's just a couple inches of flexion forward, just take that for today. Breathe here. Keep thinking of the heels reaching away from you so those thigh bones aren't getting jammed up. Those thigh bones out of the pelvis there. Take 2 more breaths here. And then stack your spine again. Bring the ball back to center. And we found a little bit more freedom in the pelvis. And now, carefully slide yourself off the front. I want you to come down to your mat. Take the ball out and feel the mobility you have here in the pelvis. And then bring the soles of your feet together. Just kind of feel that butterfly stretch there. Pretty cool, all right? Let's finish up with a pigeon stretch. So bringing your right leg in front of you, bring that ball just forward of the right sit bone. So so that ball is on the top of the thigh. And then lengthen your other leg back behind you. Let the ball support you and breathe here. So we're in that rotator line again. We're stretching the rotators, stretching the glute. Pull the ball closer to your knee a few inches. Your body will slide back, the ball will slide down the upper leg. Breathing here. See if you can try to square your hips off as much as possible. And then pull the ball down your leg another few inches. We're going to take one more move on this line. I'm about halfway down my upper thigh. And then bring the ball at least 2/3 of the way down that upper thigh, coming down the side of the leg. So you're not directly to the side of the knee joint, we're just back of that joint. Breathing there. And then come on off of that. And do the same thing on the other side, bringing the ball just back of the left sit bone. That left leg is making a 90-degree angle in front of you. My knee is directly in line with my hip. And breathe here. And that gets you a little deeper into the stretch than if you bring your shin closer to your thigh. Pull the ball closer to your knee a few more inches. Breathe there. Furniture issues today. Inhale and exhale. We're going to take 2 more positions coming down the leg. Pulling the ball down your leg. To rotate here a little bit more. So the ball's about halfway down that left upper thigh. You can completely fold over or stay lifted on your arms, whatever's feeling better right now. And then bring the ball down your leg a little bit more. So you're about 2/3 of the way down that IT band, lateral hamstring, just above the side of that knee joint. And then come on off of that. And let's lay down on our backs. Bring the silver ball behind the base of your skull. Let it support your head. And bring your legs to a little butterfly position here. And just breathe there to finish up. Inhale and exhale. You can turn your head slightly side to side on the ball. Whatever feels good here. Trying to really lift the base of the skull up and away from the cervical spine. Shoulders are open to the mat. And then bring your legs back to parallel. Lengthen them away from you. And then you can let them turn out once they come down to the mat. Just wanted you to lengthen them safely there. Breathing there. Take 5 more big breaths, bringing the inhale all the way up to make where the ball is making contact with your body. As you exhale, drive the breath down to the tailbone. Feel that breath, feel that energy moving. Three more breaths like that to finish. Two more. And then take the ball out, bring your head down to the mat, And let that settle in there. So just breathing, checking in with your body, feeling the work you just did. And thank you for joining me. I will see you guys soon.